Om Ganat Marandasha Gana Gana Salakaya Taksumlitam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manos Vistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Siyuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaisnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagvachatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Avadvaitam Avadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Parasahagana Lalita Vishakam Vitam Scha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Pre Vanchakapyas Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So today, in my last classes, I have been talking about, I've been researching some of the warriors in chapter 1 of the Gita, but I decided today, I was going to talk about Ashvatthama and his character, but this is the month of Purushottam, so I'm going to make it just totally focused on chapter 15 and talk about Krishna and what he's saying here in chapter 15. So it's text 10, Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 15, text 10. Utkramantam stitam vapi Bunjanam vagunan vitam Vimurananupasyanti Pasyanti Gyanachaksusaha. Word for word translation. Utkramantam, quitting the body. Stitam, situated in the body. Vapi, either. Bunjanam, enjoying. Va, or. Guna anvitam, under the spell of the modes of material nature. Vimudha, foolish persons. Na, never. Anupasyanti, can see. Pasyanti, can see. Jnanachaksusaha, those who have the eyes of knowledge. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. Please repeat. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. Purport. The word jnana chaksusaha is very significant. Without knowledge, one cannot understand how a living entity leaves his present body, nor what form of body he is going to take in the next life, nor even why he's living in a particular type of body. This requires a great amount of knowledge understood from Bhagavad-Gita and similar literatures heard from a bona fide spiritual master. One who is trained to perceive all these things is fortunate. Every living entity is quitting his body under certain circumstances. He is living under certain circumstances, and he is enjoying under certain circumstances, under the spell of material nature. As a result, he is suffering different kinds of happiness and distress. Under the illusion of sense enjoyment, persons who are everlastingly fooled by lust and desire lose all power to understand their change of body and their stay in a particular body. They cannot comprehend it. Those who have developed spiritual knowledge, however, can see that the spirit is different from the body and is changing its body and enjoying in different ways. A person in such knowledge can understand how the conditioned living entity is suffering in this material existence. Therefore, those who are highly developed in Krishna consciousness try their best to give this knowledge to the people in general, for their conditional life is very much troublesome. They should come out of it and be Krishna conscious and liberate themselves to transfer to the spiritual world. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Putra Simali Bhakti Tirtha Somtamane Namaste Krishna Padaya Papa Krishna Mane Shigor Kana Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Somtamane. So in this chapter, it's divided into 5 sections. The first chapter is from 1 to 6. Krishna is talking about how to attain liberation by detachment, and he describes the banyan tree and the upside down banyan tree and its reflection in the water, and how it's so entangling that no one can see how to get out of it, or where it begins or where it ends. No, and he's saying the only way to do that is to cut the roots of that tree by cultivating knowledge. And in chapters 7 through 11, and if you're not able to do that, or if you insist on being foolish, as he's saying here, then you're in bondage and transmigration, and you'll be doing transmigration. That's chapters 7 through 11. And then chapters 12 through 15, Krishna talks about how Krishna assists us in our material existence and our spiritual endeavors. Whatever we want, he'll give it to you. Whether it's, to serve Maya, he'll give you your desires because this is what you wanted from your all the transmigrations that you've been having. Or if you want to come to him, he'll help you do that too. He'll give you that facility. He'll, even he serves you when you're trying to serve him, which is really nice. I have to say that when I said this, I was thinking about this that today, for the last couple of days, I've been having water problems at the apartment. There's no water. So today, when I came home, and I was thinking, I need water. So someone from the MVT came with a thing of water. I didn't even order it. He just came by, and he didn't know where to deliver it. And he was saying, "Is this yours?" I'm saying, "No, I didn't order water." But then he didn't know where to put it. And then some other person came and said, "Mataji, this is for you." So I was like, hey, Krishna works, because I needed the water, even though I hadn't ordered it, So I just went and paid for it. And I was thinking Krishna is so kind, he's paying attention to every devotee, and he's, serving you as well. I was listening to, I don't know, I forget who the person was giving the lecture, but how Krishna, at the Rajasuya sacrifice, was actually putting away all the shoes of the devotees and washing their feet. So, I mean, it's just that he's serving his devotees, no problem. He doesn't have any ego problem. He's the Supreme Person of Godhead. So why should he have any, problem at all? He's the owner of everyone, everything. So that's what I was thinking about today. So, so how do we get this knowledge? How do we understand all the things that these foolish people cannot understand? And that is by taking instructions from a spiritual master. So we all know that about the spiritual master is, you heard, it's Bhagavad-Gita 4:34. I don't know it by heart, so I'll read it from here. 34. Tadvidi pranipatena pare prashnena sevaya upadakshanti te jnanam jnaninas tatvadarshanaha. So just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. And then today, when I was listening to a lecture, or I was reading, that these pure devotees, Prabhupada said they've actually seen Krishna. Prabhupada's seen Krishna. So they've seen the truth. So they can give it to you if you're willing to inquire submissively, not in a challenging way, or, thinking you already know because you don't know. So you approach them submissively so you can hear. And the cats and dogs and the animals, they can inquire. So we have this human body. So we can, take advantage of it and not waste our life. And this seeing is seeing through the eyes of the great souls, the acharyas. And so we want to nourish our spiritual body. We want to nourish our spiritual body. If we don't do that, if we don't, cultivate the soul, then and try to get this spiritual knowledge, then we're called killers of the soul. It's atmaha. We're killing our soul. So also further on, Krishna, then he says, one who is trained to perceive all these things, trained. That means we have to be willing to be trained. When we approach a spiritual master, he's going to train us. So then he's saying that we're fortunate. And I remember this, I think one of Prabhupada's disciples asked him a question about how he was so lucky, or I don't remember the exact terms, but then Prabhupada told him, I've created your good fortune. So when we have a spiritual master, it's our most good fortune, and every day we need to be expressing gratitude no matter what's going on, which I'm learning. No matter what's happening, whatever circumstances seem to be difficult, but still the aspect of gratitude, to be able to be in this process, it's making us very, very fortunate. So then, Prabhupada says that these mudhas, these fools, they are enjoying under circumstances. They get a certain body, and they're, living under certain circumstances, and then they're enjoying under the spell of material nature. And so the spell of material nature means that, spell means they're fascinated, they're entranced by this material energy. And in 7:14, Krishna says, Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dharatyaya. So it's very, very difficult to come out of. So I'm going to read some from 14 and 15. 7:14 and 7:15. So this is the one I was quoting. Dabe Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dharatyaya. Mam eva ye papadyante mayam etam tarantite. So he's saying this divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. I'll just start reading some of the parts of the purport. The living entities belong to the eternal superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nityabhata, or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his relief from the clutches of material nature is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material energy is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, which the living entity cannot overcome. So he's saying it's ultimately conducted by the supreme will. It's the will of the supreme. So how can you overcome it unless you surrender to Krishna? Doesn't make any sense, you know. There is a supreme being, even those who don't believe so. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. And then in text 15, he says, Namam duskino mudham papadyante naradamaha Maya parita jnana asharam bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So I'll just read a few things from this paragraph. Okay, so he's talking about the educated philosophers, the scientists, the businessmen, the administrators, and all the leaders of ordinary men do not surrender to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the all-powerful personality of Godhead. Mukti, or liberation from the laws of material nature, is sought by the leaders of mankind in different ways and with great plans and perseverance for a great many years in birth. But if that liberation is possible by simply surrendering to the lotus feet of the Supreme Person of Godhead, then why don't these intelligent and hardworking leaders adopt this simple method? No. They have no idea of God. They simply manufacture their own worldly plans and consequently complicate the problems of material existence in their vain attempts to solve them. So we can see that they cannot solve any of the problems. They just make them worse. All you have to do is look around and see so many things are happening. Actually, today too, you know, there's this volcano erupting in Hawaii. I mean, it's really bad. It's Mother Nature. But you see that all the leaders are like all puffed up and are saying, don't worry, we'll contain this. We're going to take care of it. We have everything figured out. We're going to keep this road open. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to, But they can't do it. They can't do anything because the very road they said that they were going to keep open now is closed due to the lava that's coming, destroying the road. So we can see that they're all puffed up and they're trying to be God, thinking, and they're fooling the people, saying, well, we're going to fix this, no problem, don't worry, just trust us, And, so the people follow them, foolishly, they follow them. Then wind up getting angry because the person can't fix it. So also in the Nectar of Devotion, so what is he saying here? So I left off with the spell of material nature. As a result, he's suffering different kinds of happiness and distress under the illusion of sense enjoyment. Persons who are everlastingly fooled by lust and desire lose all power to understand their change of body and their stay in a particular body. So it's a kind of madness. In page 20. In the first chapter, no, it's not the first chapter, but the first stages of devotion, and one of the paragraphs says, every living entity under the spell of material energy is held to be in an abnormal condition of madness. And I was thinking about the term madness. It's like you foam at the mouth, You've seen descriptions of mad dogs, especially if they have rabies or if they're mad, they start foaming at the mouth, or horses foam at the mouth. So this is a example of madness, a symptom of madness. In Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, generally the conditioned soul is mad because he's always engaged in activities which are the causes of bondage and suffering. Spirit soul in his original condition is joyful, blissful, eternal, and full of knowledge. Only by his implication in material activities has he become miserable, temporary, and full of ignorance. This is due to vikarma. Vikarma means actions which should not be done. So this refers to the lust. Lust, I heard, I was listening to another class, and the devotee said lust is the desire to do something that is prohibited. So it's prohibited by, the Vedas. It outlines how you should live your life, but still, everyone in the material world is falling victims to lust. And we know the verse, Arjuna asked about why is it that the living entities are doing things that are sinful, even though they may not want to, but they're propelled, They're controlled by material nature. That's why they're doing it. Let me see. I think it's 334. Nope. What do you remember? What the verse for that? When Arjuna asked the question about lust. Yes. Do you remember what the? He said, I went to the 3rd chapter. Let me see. I was sure it was in the 3rd chapter. 34, 35, 36. 337. Thank you, Mata. Is it 337? Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Arjuna said, O descendant of Vishnu, by what is one impelled to sinful activities, sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So then, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Person of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion, and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So when a living entity comes in contact with the material creation, his eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust in association with the mode of passion. Or in other words, the sense of love of God becomes transformed into lust as milk in contact with sour tamarind is transformed into yogurt. Then again, when lust is unsatisfied, it turns into wrath. Wrath is transformed into illusion, and illusion continues the material existence. Therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity, and it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. Wrath is the manifestation of the mode of ignorance. These modes exhibit themselves as wrath and other corollaries. If therefore the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is elevated to the mode of goodness by the prescribed method of living and acting, then one can be saved from the degradation of wrath by spiritual attachment. Okay. So to read further into the text 10, those who have developed spiritual knowledge, however, can see that the spirit is different from the body and is changing its body and enjoying in different ways. A person in such knowledge can understand how the conditioned living entity is suffering in its material existence. Oh, I wanted to talk about, too, this happiness. I had an analogy that I thought about. In the history of the U.S., there was some person in California discovered gold. So this was in the early 1800s. So 300,000 people from all of the U.S. migrated to California to do this gold mining, to find gold, which didn't last very long after all of them came. But then there's this, I don't know if you've heard this term called fool's gold. Those who were inexperienced were finding fool's gold. And fool's gold it's a brassy yellow mineral which can be mistaken for gold, but it's worthless. And any apparent and also definition is any apparent treasure which turns out to be worthless. So this is the happiness that the living entity is having. It's fool's gold. They think they'll be happy, but they find out they cannot be happy, or they still think they're happy. But actually that happiness is just the time between one problem and another, because the problems continue. And we're able to deal with the problems because we can take shelter of Krishna. And if we can, like all the things that happen, we understand that whatever's going on in my life is coming from Krishna, and Krishna is paying attention to everything that's going on in our life. So all I have to do is keep chanting and surrender to Krishna, and go to the temple, chant my rounds, and whatever I can do in this situation, do, but understand that Krishna is controlling everything. So we just pray to Krishna, and we see that Krishna works. It may not be the way we want it, but it's the way He has planned for our life. You know? So, and this other, about back to the idea of, these lusty desires, so the body is a problem. I was just discussing with someone that now that the weather is hot, my digestion is finished. I can not eat very much, and the heat is very intense. So, sometimes the energy is very low. So the body is affected by different material conditions. And so how much can you eat? How much can you enjoy without getting sick? How much, even now, and there's so much problems when people who are collectors, they're collecting so much stuff that it becomes a problem. It becomes a sickness, either someone, and then you have people who are overeating or not eating enough, having, all these eating disorders. So many things are happening with the body, because of this desire to enjoy, So the conclusion is it says, therefore, those who are highly developed in Krishna consciousness try their best to give this knowledge to the people in general, for their conditional life is very much troublesome. They should come out of it and be Krishna conscious and liberate themselves to transfer it to the spiritual world. So there was one thing in this purport that I wanted to throw out. Maybe we can have some discussion. Prabhupada says that therefore those who are highly developed in Krishna consciousness, highly developed means just taking to the process or being a pure devotee. Because anyone can give out a book to someone, even little Saraswati, Malati's daughter, someone asked her a question. No, she asked someone, do you know, now is at the store, who is Krishna? Do you know who is Krishna? And the man said, no. And she said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he had association with her. She was only 5, but she knew and she could impart this knowledge to him. Right? So if you know who Krishna is, then you know everything. Isn't it? That's what it said in the scriptures. If you know who Krishna is, you know everything. We won't ever know Krishna fully, but we know so much about Krishna. So the highly developed, do you have any addition? Oh, get the mic, please, for her. You? You have any idea? Hmm? Is it on? Tap, tap, tap. Okay, okay.
So I think in terms of your wisdom that highly developed, it must mean not that we're pure devotees, but it must mean that we're aware of the benefits of Krishna consciousness. So we must actually be experiencing some of the benefits in order to develop that desire to share with others.
Yes. Yes, we have to share it. We have to give it out. Someone said if you don't share it, you lose it. It's true. Do you have anyone else?
About lost because it's very always irrelevant. About lost.
Yes.
Like the question is, what are the ways to control lust? What are the different ways that we can control lust?
There are several ways. I I remember when I was doing, like Gita Nagari doing deity worship, my Guru Maharaj said one time that he would put some devotees who were having problems with that, he would put them on the altar and let them serve the deity. But the chanting, if we can chant without offense, control the mind, that helps to control the mind. Because everything resides in the mind. All the senses are grouped about the mind. So the mind is the one that concocts. I want this, I need this, I see this, I want this. So the chanting is to help control the mind. Any additions? Mm-hmm.
I've just been reading some Bhagavad-Gita.
Yes.
And I've been quite interested. I came on one station where Sally Agrawal, the people in Butler we stayed with, she was saying how people would come to visit Prabhupada and they would be smoking cigarettes. And she'd feel embarrassed because she knew that her father-in-law would like cigarettes, obviously Prabhupada. But he'd say, "No, never mind, don't worry about it." And she and her husband were eating meat. And so he would come, he would cook lunch and feed them at lunchtime. Then he would go back to the YMCA we stay. He'd come in the evening after they'd eaten to come and cook to people. She said one time he came and they just finished cooking, they hadn't eaten yet. She said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Srila Prabhupada, you must be feeling uncomfortable with that smell." And he said, "Don't worry, never mind." And like, just showing how Prabhupada's response was to different levels of consciousness.
Yes.
Because they didn't have the consciousness to know better. And then this morning I was reading in Prabhupada's memories, he was speaking to some sophisticated people in Geneva. And somebody asked him, "Why are you vegetarian?" And Prabhupada immediately turned around and jumped and said, "Why don't you eat your sister?" So, because obviously a more intellectual audience, they expect, that it was a more challenging question or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The realization that all living entities are like our brothers and sisters. Why are you vegetarian?
Yes.
Don't you eat your sister?
Yeah.
So Prabhupada, in terms of responding to people's attractions and addictions to lust, he was very much engaged in trying to give them the highest taste first.
Yeah.
Because I'm researching something on the regular principles, and if you look at what Prabhupada says, what he says is so interesting to read, and so engaging, and so nice. And yet sometimes the modern preaching method is they tell you all the wrong things, and they give you these horrible pictures to try and put you off. But that's not the approach that Prabhupada took. He tried first to give us this higher taste. He gave us in chanting. He gave the people prasadam, no matter who would come. Cook for himself, but he took enough for 5 or 6 people and feed 5 or 6 people.
Yes.
And in the beginning he wasn't even chanting, he was just trying to be friendly to people. This Sally remembers that he'd meet people for 5 minutes and know their name, and the next time he met them, even in a completely different environment, he'd say hello, how are you, and speak to them by name. So just that personal, trying to give them the relationship and the higher taste is more important than all the negatives.
Yeah. But also to directly to about the lust issue is prayer. Whenever I'm having a serious problem or some condition that's coming up that I'm not happy with, there's so many prayers, beautiful prayers. There's so many prayers that you can just pray from the heart. Because Krishna is in your heart, so he knows what's going on. So you just pray to him. You chant and you give sincere prayer that I'm dealing with this problem and I'm following the regulative principles, but still all these desires are coming up. So I'm praying know, that I can chant nicely, chant offensively, worship you, and, you know, bring down all the material lust or desires, whatever is happening. So chanting, association with higher, you know, devotees with, you know, who are higher than us, associating with them, taking their association, you know, chanting, praying, just sincerely desiring to not have it, to get rid of it. But everyone's struggling on different levels with different, you know, types of issues, you know, anarthas. So in prayer, I found, in my life, I found prayer to be very powerful. Krishna answers prayers, maybe not in our time, how we might want it right away, but he answers. I've seen he answers prayers. He's listening.
So it's my understanding that we have to be engaged. Otherwise the mind
Goes all over the place.
So we have to be engaged all the time. Engage the mind, engage the sense.
Thinking of Krishna. Yes. No, like, there's no such thing as free time in Krishna consciousness. Not if you're like really serious and wanting to always remember Krishna. There's so many things to do. Even if you're not doing it in the temple, you can, you know, if you have deities, you know, you can, you know, like so many things to do. Make garlands for your deities, make dresses for your deities, read, there's so much reading, study, find a chapter in a book that, you know, you like and study that chapter. There's so much to do. There's a lot to do in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada gave us everything. There's no lack. We're only lacking in our determination to do so. But there's no lack. Prabhupada gave everything. Everything. So we just have to take advantage of it. Be greedy, enthusiastic, lolium, you know, for it. I want it. I have to get it. This lifetime, not next lifetime. You know, that's it. Any other questions or additions? Hare Krishna.
You got the list, plus actually. You must also remember that the Lord Krishna always seeking our heart and watching our activity.
Mm-hmm.
This is most important. When we do anything, we should see that we should not do any bad thing. We should do good thing. When you are chanting, you do chanting properly. You have to pronounce each and every word very clearly and listen to it also. Right? In this way, your lust will go away automatically. You don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I could just chant purely one time.
Engage yourself in the devotion service,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the poor devotees, chanting, the lust will go away automatically. Correct?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Anything else?
Here in this chapter 9, this text number 80. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the support, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and eternal seat. And in this chapter also, so text number 50. I am seated in one's heart, and from you come knowledge and forgiveness. By all the Vedas, I am indeed. I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the ruler of the Vedas.
So the conclusion is surrender to Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.